Um, what's your name and what's your relationship to me?
My name is Kenya Harris Tunks, and my relationship to you is your mother.
Um, where are you from?
I am from Elgin, Illinois,
What neighborhood?
East Side,
How long have you lived in Chicago?
4.5, like a little bit over 4.5 years.
Okay. What role do you play in your community?
So, I just started volunteering maybe a couple of months ago at this place called UCAN. That's for, I don't know what the terminology would be for it, but it's pretty much like underprivileged kids that have been like warded to the state.
Mm. And how has that experience been?
It's been a really good experience. The manager over there, her name is Andrea Lee, and she's a good person. I met her at a meeting that the alderman had held for the neighborhood, and since she basically told me about their program, and I told her anything that I could do to assist, I would. And from there, I've been assisting with things like events and stuff since then.
Okay. So, what is your definition of a community?
Um, my definition of a community would be a group of people that have a common interest that live in like the same perimeter, I'm assuming.
Okay. So, how have you been impacted by your community?
This community in Chicago.
I mean, a community like your race wise, community like Chicago.
Um, I don't know if I don't know how to answer that one, to be honest. The only thing, so I would say the one thing, the impact that it has on me has been just an overwhelmingness of sympathy. And so I think because the organization that I do volunteer at, it is in our North Lawndale neighborhood. And I just think seeing the children and just like the levels of underprivileged people, it's impacted me in the sense of it wants me to give back and to help. That's, if that answers that question.
How would your life be different if you lived in a different... Oh, hold on, Mom.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How would your life be different if you lived in a different city or town?
How would my life be different if I lived in a different city or town? I'd probably have to live in a different city or town to answer that. But as far as where I was raised or where I'm at now, like that's, you don't know how your life would be unless you're there. I can't guess.
Okay,
Right?
you're not a future seer.
Right,
You're not
like
looking
it's
into
kind
the
of like
future.
that question is kind of like vague because it's like if you live somewhere else, like where would the somewhere else be? Like that question is way too open. It's too open.
Okay. If you could change anything about your community, what would it be?
Maybe bringing more awareness to like the issues that face the community and also helping the community to overcome it, I guess. Like issues as far as like people being underprivileged, like violence, like actually holding events and just bringing more awareness and knowledge to the community of what's going on and the effects of it and what we can do to kind of like change that.
As a community, are you talking about Chicago as a whole? Are you like what community?
I guess I'm talking about, well, I'm talking about like our direct community, like the area of like North Lawndale. I guess that's what I'm talking about. As far as Chicago, like, whew, it's a massive thing.
So North Lawndale, would you say that's like a very violent area, or?
I wouldn't say it's a very violent area, but it's because it's so underprivileged. There's just things that go on. There's violence. There's children going without. And like I said, even though we, like, so you know how Chicago is designed, every block, every neighborhood is kind of different. So our block, you know, the families on this block, like we uphold the block, we, you know, we live decent, we do well for ourselves, but then the block over is something different. Crunchy. Yeah, it's not to say just crunchy, but it's just different things go on, but we're like right next to each other, so sometimes it spills over.
So why would you change that thing about your community?
Why would I change that thing? To hopefully to uplift it, to make it better.
Okay. How do you think your community is viewed by others? And
it's
why?
You said and why?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure this community is viewed by others as very desolate, just very, they probably think it's like crime ridden or
what do you mean by desolate? I'm sorry.
Desolate is like
to up my vocabulary.
So desolate, in my definition, is like, I don't know, like spotty. Like you see, like there's so many empty places. Like like there's so many empty businesses. There's so many empty homes. Like it's just like, it's kind of like if you were to go through like a ghost town. It's desolate. Like there's really not a lot of people. Like not a lot like really going on. Yeah. Like lack of people, lack of resources. Just, I mean, we don't even have a grocery store in this neighborhood. Like we literally have to go to another neighborhood. Yeah, like exactly, yeah.
Okay. So how do you think your community? How do you think your community is viewed by others?
You just asked me that.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you like desolate. Like that's what I was saying. Like it's basically like the little ghost town. They probably think it's very drug or crime. They probably think it's full of crime, drugs. Just they probably. I'm sure they view it probably in a negative way.
Okay, I apologize for asking.
Oh, that's okay. It's all good.
So, if you think this view is wrong or unfair, is there a way to change how your community is viewed by others?
The only way you can change it is by trying to make a change, trying to hold events, fundraisers, bring awareness. Like you can't change something without, for one, you have to change like yourself, what you're doing, and let that spill over into the community by raising awareness, events. That's the only thing I can think of.
All cities have to deal with issues like violence. How does this issue of violence in Chicago compare to other major cities?
Well, Chicago is a major city, but it probably compares differently because income levels is why there's probably so much crime, because lack of employment allows, enables people to feel like they need to get things by any means necessary, which sometimes are in, unlawful ways. And I apologize. What exactly was the question again?
So, all cities have to deal with issues like violence. How does the issue of violence in Chicago compare to other major cities? So just...
Oh, okay. Yeah. So obviously, like I said, the whole state of Illinois is just... it just seemed like it's kind of like a corrupt state. And as far as the city of Chicago, how it compares to others, Chicago is basically known, or it's known to people on the outside as like just a crime-ridden city, and it's really not that. It's not what people believe it is. There's a lot of beauty to it. There's a lot of art. But again, if I don't know these questions, I don't know. I guess it's just compared to other places, other big cities, as they would look at this as like it's one of the like crime centrals, basically. So I guess it just compares in that way, that it's just people think it's less. I don't know. I've been there for 4 years. I'm trying to figure this place out myself. I don't know. I'm from the suburbs,
So you brought up an interesting point. So why do you say that Illinois is corrupt.
Why do I say Illinois is corrupt? Because, I mean, look at all the governors. Every time you turn around, we're losing governors are going to jail. There's always, when you turn around, there's a superintendent. There's this, there's that. There's always a public official that some way, somehow is using the taxpayers' dollars for things that are not attended. Like, I don't know, it's like there's a lot of money in the state of Illinois, and it's like we're overtaxed, but all these taxes, like, who knows where this money is going to? Do you know? I know I don't know.
No, definitely not.
And it's like, and it's definitely not being put back into the community. So I believe it's for a lot of people's greed at times, but I don't know. That's just what they say about Illinois, and like I said, I don't. That's just kind of how I feel about it too.
Okay, why do you think people view Chicago as this violent and dangerous place?
Because the news. Because that's what makes headlines, drama. The drama that goes on. You'll hear about, shootings that go on all the time before you'll hear about, like somebody putting back into the community. You'll hear about the shootings or someone being raped, or like you'll always hear car accidents. You'll hear that first before you hear anything else. So I think that's why it's viewed, because a lot of people use media as a way to be informed about what's going on in certain places because they're not there. And I mean, I have friends that are scared to like,
just
even
to come visit us.
And it's like first of all, like we weren't born and raised in Chicago, and we've been holding ourselves very well. Like I said, there's been some little issues here and there, but it has never been nothing to where I've ever been like in danger for my life, or like thinking like I'm not safe walking out of my own door. But again, media paints that picture by only depicting violence, or by depicting violence like more prevalent in the media than the good things that go on, basically.
Okay. So, I guess that leads us into our next question. How would you change the media then?
How would you change the media? That's a great question, and that's something that I couldn't answer. And the reason why I say that is because drama is what's profitable. Like, people want to see
but
negative
if you were
before. If I was in charge of it.
Yeah, if you were in charge of it.
So if I was in charge of it, I would definitely, I would let people be aware of, where there's instances and to be safe. But I would also, too, shed light on all the positive things that are going on.
Like, what positive things would you say?
Like, just different schools, like when they have, like, the positive things that go on. Like, for instance, like, your art.
Yeah, at the Salvo.
It's like there's so many beautiful young people that are creating art and that are very talented, but that's not something that they're gonna like necessarily highlight. I mean, you might every once in a while you do see good things that happen in Chicago, but it's kind of like overshadowed by all the other stuff. So if I was responsible for the media, I would definitely go into schools and go to and highlight the children that you wouldn't think, because in a lot of people's mind they think that a lot of teenagers are bad or they're doing bad things, they're on drugs, but there's a lot of teens that are out here working hard towards their future, and I think I would want to highlight those kids. And a lot of times, a lot of those kids that are working as hard as they are pretty much underprivileged children that they just want a future for themselves, so they're going for it. But again, you're not going to really see that. So, but if I was in charge, I would highlight that. I would definitely highlight children. I would highlight the everyday people that are heroes. Like, I don't know if that guy still stands outside, but the guy he was an old Marine, and he would like make sure like he'd watch and make sure like you guys would like go off to school before when you guys were younger, like when you were leaving in the morning. Just community heroes that look out for the community and that were there. I would highlight those sort of people.
Okay. So, how do you see Chicago in the future?
How do I see Chicago in the future? I think that if we don't get a hold on
media control?
Not just media control, but again, it's like just trying to bring awareness to certain community to these communities, and just whatever problems or whatever issues are going on, just if we're not addressing them, and also finding solution for these problems, then it's probably gonna stay the same, if not get worse.
So, is that a good or a bad thing? Bad thing? Like, mostly bad.
Is what a good or a bad thing? Like, if it's gonna obviously decline in the future if things don't change.
Yeah. Would you see that mostly a bad thing, right?
Yeah, that would be a bad thing.
Can it be prevented?
Yeah, by education only.
Education just of the community and education of Chicago.
Like, just like I'm saying, like educating people on the issues. Like, for instance, this Pacific neighborhood in general, North Lawndale, just trying to educate some of the homeowners, and then also too, just bringing people into the community, allowing us to like have, you know, like there's a lot of businesses that have closed down or whatever, just trying to bring more people in the community, and which will create wealth. And with doing that, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
It's completely fine.
Because these questions are like, but yeah, I think just by, give me the question again, because I completely just blanked.
Is it important for us to keep an ongoing dialogue of the most important issues facing our community? So is it important for us to keep talking about these issues, basically?
Yes, it is important. Are you going to ask me why now?
I guess. So, do you think, like, there's more action should be taken? Instead of, like, there's a lot of people talking about it, but what's getting done, basically?
I'm not even sure if anybody's talking about it. I mean, that's the number one issue. I mean, once, like, see, here's the thing. It's almost like you'd have to bring up an open dialect. And then on top of that, you'd also have to kind of rid some people of the ignorance. Because some people are completely fine how things are. And that's the problem. Like, some people think that when you say the word ignorance, like somebody is, like, demeaning, you know. Ignorance is lack of education. And that's what's going on in this neighborhood and many other neighborhoods. And people were just educated on how, like, they think that the way things are is just going to be that way and there's nothing nobody can do. But that's false, right? Like, obviously, if we all come together and unify
in a constructive way,
and just say, hey, you know, this, like, I could be having the same issue as another neighbor, and us just coming together and conversing and talking about whatever problems that we're having, and just ways, because obviously numbers count, and just coming together and understand, like, we're all in this struggle together. How can we make this community better? But again, it's ridding some people of their ignorance, because some people think, like, why bother? Nothing's gonna change. Like, I don't make a difference. You know, like, it's just educating people on what we can do, coming up with solutions. Like, I don't have all the solutions, but I'm sure if me and 20 other people in the neighborhood came together, collaborative yeah, like, as a collaboration, we could definitely get to a point where we could start making some real changes. But everybody goes in their house and they go to work and they come home, and, you know, nobody really communicates. So the community is not really a community in the sense that we're all even communicable with each other. Like, it's not like that. Like, we don't talk. Like, something needs to be done. Like, events need to be held, like, to bring each other together. Like, even if we just block off the street and just have, like, a summer party, and we just talk about our kids and you know, our neighborhood's up and coming. Like, there are things that are happening that are good that the church is implementing, but again, it just takes for us to come together.
It's that one step, huh?
Yeah, it's that one step. And like I said, you know, changing people's mindsets too. For those that don't think change can happen.
Where do you think that starts from? In the home? Like, as a child? Like, not just not being like, just having that mindset that, oh, I'm always going to be stuck in, you know, negativity, or it's just always going to be like that this way. So, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, a lot of people, like, that's why people don't vote, because they think that their vote doesn't matter. So they think that it's been this way for so long, they haven't seen it any different. So of course it's going to remain that way. Instead of thinking outside the box and saying, like, you know what, I'm tired of it being this way, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to make sure that it's different. Some people are, and then again, some people are just completely comfortable with their lives. Like, they don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Even though they're not in the best place, but they don't know any different. Again, education. Education is basically the key to unlocking so many doors, whether it's from people's mental, physical, spiritual. It's like everything is based on education of some form. And it's not always the school setting. Like, it's not, I'm not talking about college or high school. I mean, those, to have those accolades are amazing, because you do need the fundamentals of a structured education, but sometimes just life and getting outside the box, like thinking outside the box and just opening up yourself to things that you probably normally wouldn't do. That's going to help a lot. That helps a lot.
Okay, so is there any additional questions or anything that you feel like I didn't ask you that you wanted to touch on?
No, I mean, I don't know. I heard your interview with Shania, and it seemed a little different. So that's why I was wondering, like, because did you ever ask a question about, like, what could change or something to that effect? I thought I heard something like that. Like, what could you do to change? She said something about pollution. Was there a question you skipped? There was something you could change. She said pollution.
Well, you said something. Her answers were completely different from yours.
Gotcha.
So, like, pollution. I is one of the only people, like the one person who even talked about pollution. So
no.
That she said that's one thing that she feels like needs to change is, you know, people littering and
yeah,
stuff
that's
like
one
that.
thing. But yeah, I guess my biggest thing. Okay, yeah, I just thought something different. But yeah, my biggest thing is always going to be education, and then mental health, of course, just people being
okay.
You know, having emotional intelligence. So I guess that's it.
So, do you know what was successful about this process, or what needs work?
As far as your interviewing skills or the questions you asked?
I guess my interviewing skills.
No, I mean, I think you did a good job. I mean, with the material you were provided, I think you did a good job in executing and following up, just trying to get a better understanding. Like, you seemed very like open to hearing other ideas and just trying to delve into it a little deeper, and by asking why this or why that or whatever. So I think you did a good job.
Okay, any comments or questions in general?
Any comments or questions in general? No questions.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Oh, wait a second, sweetie. What class is this for?
This is for my gallery class.
Okay.
Or also AP art.
Okay, cool.
So thank you for my time. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Bye.